Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're doing a how to build on the new Estarossa that I was lucky enough to pull in 30 diamonds. I didn't get it from my free molly and my friend was like, you might as well just do one extra sub and you got enough diamonds. And I did, and I pulled him. Luckily enough, and thank goodness, because I was not going to spend any more diamonds. The 30 diamonds is the highest amount I would spend to get him, because currently he's okay for PvP. I'm going to do some more PvE testing with him because, once again, I did state in my banner review, he is mainly PvP based, and I want to 100% guarantee that, so I will be using him in Bird, Deer, and Dogs, like I normally do, to sort of get the most out of him and to test, what he's truly capable of. Okay, now on to his substats. We'll go for his stats. So he has normal Estarossa stats. Substats wise, basic stats 67,000 CC, nearly 68k, with HP defense. He's missing a few outfits, and he's not True Awakened. So this Estarossa's max CC with perfect gear, upgraded relic, everything like that, is about 74,000 CC, which is about 3,000 CC higher than the blue Estarossa. So this one's already slightly better CC-wise, which is kind of nice. Crit chance 119 is actually pretty good. Pierce rate's okay. Resistance is very low, which means he might be quite squishy, which might be a slight problem. Crit damage is, not bad. Crit resistance is actually pretty good, compared to what we've seen recently. Crit defense is okay. Lifesteal is insane. 25% lifesteal is absurd, especially with his passive, which we'll get into in a second. His first skill is called Gloom. I just realised that's the name of it. Not actually noticed it. Which is 2 times crit damage, and damage dealt is increased by 50% for each darkness unleashed on the enemies. My guess is that means if it's in total, it'll be 3, basically guaranteed. Which would technically be a 150% damage boost, which is pretty good. But my guess is it's probably just on the enemy themselves, on the enemy you're attacking, because this is a single target skill. And then we've got his AoE, which is just a standard pierce rate skill. And then on to his ultimate, which is just your standard Estarossa ult. There is nothing different with this ultimate. It's your normal stuff. Decrease all enemies attack by 20%. At 2.6, this is just attack. At 3.6, it's attack and defense. At 4.6, it's attack and defense. The multiplier does increase every single time, I think, by about 5%. 5.6, it's basic stats 20%. And at 6.6, it's basic stats 30% and does 40% damage per debuff. So this is basic stats. It is 3 separate debuffs. It's HP, attack, and then defense. That is so you get the most out of the resonance, so you immediately get 120% increased damage dealt, which is pretty good. At 6.6, of course, is where he's going to be nuking people. Maybe at 3.6 plus, you may be able to do a considerable amount of damage. So once again, the multiplier is higher, and you technically inflict 2 debuffs, so it's immediate higher damage anyway. Onto his commandment, so he does still have the normal Estarossa commandment, which is actually really good for this Estarossa, because he wants to lose his buffs to gain his actual stacks of his passive. And once again, whenever he plays a skill, he gives himself that buff, and if you're already using a demon team, you're not going to be having many buffs on your team. Estarossa is probably going to be the only one that has buffs, especially if you're not running Nanashi. You don't really have to worry about it, because I actually like to run Blue Ominous Nebula Zeldris, for the attack lower of the enemies, but also the attack rate stat boost to my team, which is kind of nice. Now to his passive, which is not the longest passive I've seen, but still quite long. Applies 2 Whispering Commandment effects on the hero for 2 turns, which are his 2 buffs. At the start of the battle, decrease... okay, so this is part of the bit. So at the start of the battle, it applies those 2, decreasing applicable allies' damage taken by 15% for each Whispering Commandment effect. So, if you go second, your entire team immediately has 30% damage reduction, which, if you then mix that with Demis, which is another 30%, you're going to get 60% damage reduction turn 1. You're running Red Chandler and back, you're going to hit the damage. You're actually going to hit the damage cap of damage reduction. Damage reduction has a cap of 80%. So once again, you can immediately turn 1 have damage cap, literally damage cap damage reduction, which is absurd. If an enemy attacks an applicable ally while Whispering Commandment is active on the hero, the attacker's crit damage is decreased by 40%. I have seen this. It's not a debuff. It's like a lower. So it's okay. It's not a debuff, which I kind of would have preferred it to been. But it's also kind of good because that means in PvE, if you have the buff, which you're only going to have 2 turns anyway, it's going to struggle to crit you. Well, it will, but the damage will be significantly lower. 40% is a big number, especially in just general content. Every applicable ally's attack is increased by 7% for each applicable ally participating in battle. All stats of the hero is increased by 15% for each Whispering Commandment effect removed. So once again, his commandment will help you get them removed, but also after 2 turns they disappear anyway, so you immediately get 30% all stats, which, by the way, 55% lifesteal is absurd. This crit chance is actually very good. It's actually very close to Demi's, which is very good. Crit damage, 250%. Bear in mind, this is HP defense. If I give him attack crit, add an extra 20% on top of that, 270%. Very good. Resistance, even still 68%, is still mediocre for nowadays. Crit resistance and crit defense is pretty nice, though. It puts him on par with like some of the UR bases, which is kind of nice. And once again, he's already got half decent CC as it is. It's a nice kit. It's a very good kit. When all Whispering Commandment effects are removed, all enemies are inflicted with Darkness Unleashed. And then applicable allies are demons or allies with commandments. So Droll, Glocks, I think they're the only 2 that aren't demon. I think it's just literally just Droll and Glocks. And then Whispering Commandment immune to all debuffs. So that's immediately, that is only for Estarossa. So Estarossa is basically immune for debuffs for 2 turns, which is kind of nice. Especially it makes it a lot harder to get turn 1'd by Demi or Arthur or anyone who's got some sort of infect or relies off debuffs for damage. And then what Darkness Unleashed is it lowers all the enemies' all stats by 15%, which is absurd, because not only does he give himself a 30% all stat boost, he can lower the enemy's all stats by 15%. This also works in PvE. Only problem is, I'm going to have to test out if it works between different phases of Demonic Beasts, because normally debuffs are refreshed. And then, of course, this relic depletes 1 orb from the enemy's ult gauge of all the enemies at the end of the turn when an enemy dies from an ally's skill. Basically, if you kill an enemy, they lose the ult gauge, which is kind of nice because this Estarossa can pow damage. He's very good. But as once again, PvP. Sorry, PvE. No, I did say PvP. Okay, it's PvP. And then, of course, next week with Hero Arena. So I already done Hero Arena. I was not expecting to pull him. I had no plans on pulling him, so I will try him next week in Hero Arena. Just to give him a sort of little bit of a test in comparison with, of course, Blue Estarossa, who has the Darkness stacks and the insane basic stat boost. I also want to try it in direct comparison to this Red Estarossa to see, is he better? I know he will have the all-stat boost from, being the featured character, but I feel like I still want to test it, because even if Blue Estarossa, can outperform him then you already know Blue Estarossa will probably still be better than Red Estarossa for Hero Arena. And of course, I'll give that a go. Gear-wise, what I recommend for this one, HP defense. The 30% all-stat boost, plus a 21% attack boost, plus 15% all-stat lower on the enemies. You don't need attack gear for him. He is going to tank very well. His damage is always going to be pretty good. Once again, he's going to struggle with survivability until he gets those all stats. I know technically you can get it turn 1 with his commandment if you double play with him. But if you're versing like Glock's commandment, or you don't really want to double attack, it might be a slight problem. But overall, he's a very good character. I've been using him quite a bit. My friend actually welled quite a bit onto his banner and got him 3-6. He's very good. But once again, that's a PvP. If you're just a general character player who's like, I get champ 1 every week, I've got a half decent team and it works every week, it's completely fine, and or you're in champ 5 and you don't really care about PvP, this guy isn't really good. Of course, Chaos Mode, he may perform quite well, but once again, that's a mode that comes out once every 2 months, and it lasts a week. Is it really worth spending 600 diamonds for a character that will excel there? He's also quite good in PvP, but once again, the meta shifts so quickly nowadays. What's good 1 week is bad the next. Once again, I'll show you my cosmetics so you can see like the CC difference and like the substats. Technically, you could get even more crit chance if you just went in and got these 3. That's another, 2, 5, 8. Another 8% crit chance, which put him 127% base, which is very good. Once again, if you want more lifesteal, there you go, get these 2. And then replace the ones that don't have lifesteal, and then you got even more lifesteal. You can get up to a 30% lifesteal base. It's absurd. Also, I did also forget to mention, my Estarossa's relic is upgraded, so that is the reason why his CC may be slightly higher. If you have if you had an identical kit to me, my relic is also upgraded as well. But overall, he's not a bad character. Is he worth leveling up? If you get him from your free multi, probably yes. We've got Chaos Mode next week, and currently he is meta. He's a very good character. PvE-wise, I feel like he's going to lack, but I will of course test that. But PvP is definitely where he's designed for. Also, his outfit is really cool. I really like his outfit. His animations are really nice. This outfit's okay, but I like this one with his relic. I don't know why, but I just feel like it suits him very well. And of course, we've got the headgear as well. So when you obtain him, you get 1 weapon, you get 2 headgears, and then you get, of course, the 2 outfits as well. But anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you next one. Goodbye.